Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling show review with us, Terminator NJ. You're the one behind the AcesAnd8's, not James Storm. This is newsworthy on the British Fist. Terminator NJ is behind AcesAnd8's, everybody. What the fuck is going on? As you guys know, I am Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me is none other than your go-home show specialist reviewer. It's none other than Terminator NJ. What's up? And can I ask you a question, Terminator NJ? Are you the person behind the AcesAnd8's? I guess, yeah, I guess that's all he has to say. Subscribe above, like this video, and comment any thoughts you have on this TNA Impact Wrestling edition down in the comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the links in the Gooch box below.
The ever so humorous Terminator NJ sets us off in a very passionate tone. We also recommend you go to the website TNAsylum.com, the best source for TNA discussion, and they will be featuring this video as well. So go check it out in the description box below, as I suggest. Now, this was the Hardcore Justice Go Home show. They also had the AcesAnd8's stuff, which you kind of knew they were going to be hyping on this show as well. Began the show with none other than Bully Ray coming out with his Twitter machine, saying all the evidence pretty much points to James Storm, hypes up the four-way match at the pay-per-view. It was a pretty nice segment between these two, really, would you not say?
And that's the thing, with Bully Ray being the opener, you know you're expected good mic work, good warm-up, and the fact that he wanted to speak to James Storm to add more behind James Storm being the one who's running all this thing, it definitely set the tone for the future of this storyline. Yeah,
and James Storm basically comes out. You have this interaction between Bully Ray and James Storm, which is generally pretty good. Basically, James Storm saying he's sick and tired of people pointing the finger at him. I must admit, James Storm's mic work is just fantastic. I think Vince Russo was the one that went through lines of him, etc., and really helped improve his mic work. And I'll say this, Vince Russo, I know you're not in the wrestling business anymore, buddy, but you did a pretty fucking good job with James Storm's promo work, because some of his promos are pretty damn innovative, in my opinion.
And that's the thing, because you was on Storm's side for this, I was on Bully Ray's. The mic work here was very good. Yes, you get more mic work from other wrestlers later on, but this was a really good opening for the show.
And then we get AcesAnd8's on the Titantron saying, Bully Ray, James Storm, in a raw, we can't understand you who were trying to die from the Batman. You know, it was kind of like they were trying to hide their identity, etc. This is a good opening segment. The mic work between these two was very good. The interaction was very good. And it hyped the main event later, and also gave us that AcesAnd8's tease which you would get throughout the night.
And that's the thing. When they started speaking, they did something different. Instead of doing their attacks, they did their voice. They appeared on the Titantron. It definitely gave us something different. And some people, especially me at the time, was thinking there was something different about this guy. The thing thrown around was it could be Hogan, but then you think, why would Hogan want to attack himself up? But there's a question behind this. Just the way he looked in his eyes, I thought, Hogan.
You know, another interesting question could be how the hell you got from that room to this review so damn quickly, Terminator NJ, seeing as you are the one behind the AcesAnd8's. Yeah, well, okay, well, I guess that's the answer we're going to have to put up with. So it was a good opening segment, in my opinion. Teased most of the stuff that was going to happen throughout the night, including the main AcesAnd8's angle, which you thought would pretty much dominate the show.
That I was really looking forward to, because last week we didn't get anything of them, so I was looking more from them, especially being the go-home show. But we'll get to more information on the AcesAnd8's as the show goes on.
Indeed. TNA had a four-way match between RVD, Pope, Mr. Anderson, and Magnus at Full Scan at Hardcore Justice to hype. So they thought, fuck it. Instead of having Pope versus RVD, we'll have Pope cut a little promo backstage, have RVD versus Magnus with Mr. Anderson on commentary, therefore getting all four guys involved in this segment. Shame RVD got the victory and couldn't lay down for a Magnus, but hell, it's a way of getting all four of them on the show, I guess.
The thing is, Anderson on commentary, you didn't really get to hear much from him, which I didn't really think stood out in this. Pope, he got his little thing there, but the match was meant to be him in this match, so that was kind of thrown out there. Magnus, he had cut a video package about 2 weeks ago, making us believe that he was going to be a big deal in this, but he's just lost and lost and lost. Rob Van Dam, I don't really care about, so the win here was pretty obvious, and it's a bit of a letdown for the other three.
Does RVD really need the win? Is RVD even relevant in 2012? I'll just say that. We'll move on to the next segment. We had a random out of nowhere tag team championship match. Daniels and Kaz versus Garrett Bischoff and Devon. And you're wondering how the fuck these two even got a title shot and why this segment was really on the show, because it kind of seemed unless they were just trying to get Daniels and Kaz on the show, which is fair enough, but it seemed like a pretty pointless match and a pretty pointless segment to have on this show, in my opinion. The time could have gone to other more important things.
And that's the thing, before this, we had a video package of the Claire storyline thing going on, so I thought, having this match, yes, it's random, because you have Devon and Garrett, which you don't really want to see in this match, but when Kaz and Daniel ended up retaining, there was no to do with Claire, so it's quite a filler match.
You can tell I'm getting fat, MJ, when I've got a second chin. Just say that right now. We'll move on to the next segment. That was a pretty pointless segment, in my opinion, especially before Hardcore Justice, where a lot of those guys aren't even involved in the freaking card. And to improve our mood, TNA thought, let's give Robbie E a mic. And, you know, you're sitting there thinking, Robbie E with a mic. He calls out Jeff Hardy, and of all the people you could have put Jeff Hardy against, probably one of the biggest names you have in the company, you put him up against Robbie E. And in the segment, Robbie T puts Jeff Hardy through a table. And I'm sitting there thinking, no one believes Robbie E is going to win this BFG series. So why even have this segment on the show? Why could you not have filled this TV time with some more important and relevant stuff than Robbie fucking E calling out Jeff Hardy and having him pretty much go over Jeff Hardy by putting him through the table?
Did we really want to see this segment? Did we really want to see Jeff Hardy yet again for the second show going, get beaten down by Robbie E? Are you serious, bro?
Yeah, because Zack Ryder worked the gimmick. But unfortunately, Robbie E cannot. The character sucks. But Robbie E and Robbie T getting mic time over Jeff Hardy and involving Jeff Hardy with that loser, pretty much bringing Jeff Hardy down to Robbie E standards, stupid in my opinion.
I really don't see why it's got to be Jeff Hardy who has to go through this torture, but at the same time, at the pay-per-view, I do see Jeff Hardy getting the upper hand.
So we're in agreement that apart from the opening segment, the first hour of TNA Impact Wrestling was nowhere near general standards.
Sadly not. This first hour really was a letdown. It didn't hold my attention. Yes, the opener was good, but in my opinion, since the opener finished, there was nothing there for me.
Started off high and then kind of went down. But then we got to the hour main event. We've got a four-way match at the pay-per-view, a ladder match between Angle, Daniels, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. They decided to hype this up by having Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles in a Bound for Glory series match. You also had a kind of like semi-pissed, semi-heel Samoa Joe cutting a promo before the match, which was pretty nice. I mean, in that 30 seconds, you did cut a very good promo. I
did like hearing from Joe. The thing is, they did cut off a bit short by the end, but seeing him there, getting him involved in the go-home show, they did try their best to fit everything they could in this go-home show. We'll get to more of our opinion on that bit later.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very good match, as you expect from Kurt Angle versus AJ. I would have expected a little bit more hype towards the match. Maybe it was announced last week, but Angle wins what was a very good match between the two. You expect these two to go out and have a great match now, pretty much, don't you?
That's very true, because this match I saw going either way, but the fact they gave Angle the win, which in a way I think sort of slides into AJ's mind being off track with everything else that's going on. So I thought this was very nicely done.
And they had the video packages with Claire Lynch, but they kept the Claire Lynch. They didn't make her act this week. They kept the Claire Lynch stuff to a minimum, just poking AJ Styles and AJ Styles walking off. So I thought that was a bonus to this segment, the fact they didn't have Claire Lynch act.
That's very true. Her not getting overly involved was good, but the thing is, the camera did keep turning to her on a fair bit. I thought, why, when the match is important? Yeah, you're trying to keep the Claire Lynch storyline going, but no one cares.
No one really cares about the segment, or I mean, about the Claire Lynch character. I mean, the storyline itself, the Claire Lynch character is just bringing that storyline down, in my opinion. Miss Tachmaka versus Gail Kim. TNA said, congratulations on your marriage, Gail Kim. You're now going to job to the champ in 3.5 minutes. I think, do you think this is Gail Kim probably going to take a little bit of a break because of her marriage now, would you think?
After having a repeated match for the 4th or whatever time, yes, I think this is starting to say, here's your one more shot at the champion, even though it's not for the belt, and then you can go off for your little timeout. Made
Tachmaka look pretty good, which she needed to do going in the pay-per-view, beating Gail Kim in 3.5 minutes, especially if she is going to take some kind of break to her marriage. Congratulations, Gail Kim, for getting married. It's going to be like a feature on the Food Network or something, so she's getting some mainstream publicity. Maybe she'll mention TNA or something during the marriage. Who knows?
Maybe they should, but the thing about this is that, well done, Gail Kim, for doing this. Yeah. Yes, it came at a right time, because you had your time as the champion, you had your time going for your rematches, and now you're setting off for your marriage. I thought it was nicely done. You put over Tess again, but there we go. It was an okay short match.
We then had Madison Rayne coming out to kiss Earl Hebner. And this whole thing is pretty much revolving around, will Earl Hebner be the referee and will he screw the champion? Now, I have a simple solution for this. Just make Earl Hebner not be the referee. Would that not be a simpler solution? Have an impartial referee?
Sadly, I think even though with Brooke Hogan being taken away, anything can happen in the knockouts thing. But if he is the ref, it does leave us wondering, is this going to be the end of Tess's reign? Or is somehow there's going to be a swerve and Tess retains? So in a way, having him as the ref could be interesting. I just hope not another stupid fix of a match.
Yeah, I don't want Madison Rayne to win or even be involved in a knockouts title match. But there we go. We had a video package for Kenny King. It's a shame they couldn't put the X Division feud on the go and show it in some kind of in-ring segment. But we had a video package of Kenny King spotlighting how hard he's worked to get there and how he wants to hold the championship, etc. I was a bit disappointed this didn't get in an in-ring segment, but at least it got some feature on the show, even if it was just one video package.
Even though, if we go back a bit to the Daniels and Kaz thing, yes, we have Daniels in a match at the pay-per-view, but in a way, I think they could have maybe replaced that and had an X Division thing, or actually announced the X Division title match in a segment instead of doing it later on. But I'll say this, Kenny King, giving his opinion on where he's at now and how important being in TNA is, definitely made his character have some importance.
And I look forward to the match as well, Kenny King. I do look forward to the Kenny King Zima Iron match. And by the way, we'll be doing our preview and predictions video on Saturday, like we usually do for Hardcore Justice. We then have the contract signing. Before we go into the segment itself, what do you think about this contract signing between Aries and Roode? Considering this is going to be the main event at Hardcore Justice, what do you think about this going in the 3/4 of the way through the show spot instead of the main event? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if we've noticed, the important in TNA at the minute is the AcesAnd8's, so I think they're going to keep on trying to make them the most important thing. But with Aries' progression over the year and him meant to be the new important in TNA, especially now, maybe they should have made him into the main event to say, right, you're our champion, we give you this contract signing, have whatever's going to happen by the end of it, and the pay-per-view match. So in a way, I'm two-sided with this.
And TNA generally put their world title holder in the main event, and it was a bit of a surprise to me. But the AcesAnd8 story is seemingly taking prevalence, and it is a shame because Austin Aries won the title in such a great way, and he hasn't really been the focus of the TV show like maybe a Bobby Roode was when he was the champion. And in my opinion, it is a real shame, and this really did sum up. This was in the sort of 9:30, kind of half an hour before the end of the show kind of spot, and it's like, ugh. But it was still a good segment, in my opinion. These two really play off well. These two really play off each other quite well, don't they, Roode and Aries?
That's the thing. We have Sting obviously making his announcement, saying about the AcesAnd8's to begin with, warming up and calling out the contract signers. And the mic work here between the two. We have Roode not wanting this because he doesn't agree that he's not going to get his rematch. And Aries obviously saying, no, we'll do this another way to make it fair on both of us.
Yes, because they pretty much said, just like we did, a gentleman's agreement where basically be the one last time Roode versus Aries with no rematches, a nice verbal agreement. And then at the end we get Roode spitting in the face of Aries with some water and pretty much walking off. I thought this was a good segment. Kind of similar to the James Storm Roode segment before lockdown. I did think this is a very good promo segment between the two.
And that's the thing, because this is still an important part of the pay-per-view, especially in the main event. And the way you had Aries doing his great mic work skills, coming up with another solution to a match, like he said in the past, and now Roode thinking, right, I've given in to you, but take that.
Yeah. And you mentioned James Storm. If only he was in this segment as well, that would have been like epicness. She is in my pants kind of stuff, that would be. But anyway, we got a video package for Chavo Hernandez and Cash and Gunner are going to have a tag match at the pay-per-view. The video package for that, was this... Do you think this maybe should have got a segment on the show, or do you reckon this is kind of worthy of a video package, building up Chavo and Hernandez, I guess, as the next kind of legit contenders to Kaz and Daniels?
It was like, I build that with the X Division and the tag match. They should have maybe slipped into the show more than video packages, but at the same time, Chavo being new and King being new, I still think they should fit into the actual go-home show.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Just like TNA make them a bit of a big deal of their product, but we didn't get it, so there we go. Bully Ray versus James Storm in the Bound for Glory Series match was our main event of the evening. Of course, we had RVD get 7 points, Angle get 7 points, and this was hyping up the other 4-way match, which is going to be a tables match. Bully Ray, James Storm, Robbie E, and Jeff Hardy. These two generally have pretty good matches. You've got Bully Ray, who is an over-heel, whose contract is up in 3 weeks. Please re-sign Bully Ray. I'm just saying on the behalf of the British Fist and the leader of the Aces and Eights, Terminator NJ, please re-sign that contract. Because if you give us matches like these on a consistent basis with a guy like James Storm, you have a real place in the company, really, with Bully Ray, don't you?
Even though Bully Ray is trying to determine, get the fans behind him to keep him on, want him around. Because if you lose him, I'm sorry, you've taken away one of the best wrestlers and heels you have in your company, and you've got to try and build someone else up to where he was at.
Some may argue the best. I think he is the best heel in the business right now, in my opinion. But Bully Ray beat James Storm. I was a little bit surprised about that. Bully Ray beats James Storm to get the 7 points in about a 12-minute solid main event match. We had that whole thing with the Aces and Eights saying that they'll be seeing a lot more of Bully Ray on the Titantron, and you've got to think this is hyping up the whole, is James Storm the leader? Bully Ray, casting Bully Ray's doubt on James Storm, whether he is in the Aces and Eights group. You've got to think that's why this was done, really. It was the main angle of the show.
And the thing that's interesting to me is that the Aces and Eights are really going after the faces and their heels, so they're definitely trying to swerve you on what their ideal is and what their plan is. Storm looking like the one who's behind it, even though he's trying to say it's not. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go, what it's going to lead to, and how they're going to suddenly swerve and take it away from Storm, because I really don't think it's the leader. No,
Storm won't be the leader. It'll be like a feel-good moment when it's like, yeah, we can definitely trust that guy, but they have attacked heels, they've attacked faces, they've attacked legends, they've attacked authority figures, they've attacked gut checks, so they pretty much established now that Aces and Eights will attack anyone at any time in any way as a gang group. So there we go. Kind of similar to the NWO in some ways, or maybe the Nexus. But you weren't behind any of those groups, so we won't even mention those inferior groups of this Aces and Eights group. Yes, I'm saying that because if I don't say that, he's going to kick my ass. But anyway, what are your overall thoughts on this show, Terminator NJ?
Since the following opener, yes, we've got the Angle and AJ match, but even after that, things started to slip up again. So all I'm going to say is the opener and probably the main eventy areas stood out the most to me. But this show, following what we've had in the past, really weren't TNA standards.
No.
For a going show as well to a pay-per-view that should seem important of what's going on within it, I just didn't feel satisfied with the show.
No, just like Terminator NJ said, pretty much, it wasn't up to the usual standards of a TNA show. The opener was very good. The Aries Roode promo segment I thought was very good. The hour main event match was very good. But other than that, there wasn't really too much else. I mean, the main event angle, in my opinion, at the end kind of fell a little bit flat, especially going into the pay-per-view where you expect the main event to be highlighting what is going to be on that pay-per-view and the main event of that, which really should have been Aries and Roode, in my opinion, as that would have been a good way to end the show. But obviously TNA now are stuck in their ways with this whole Aces and Eights, as it is drawing more viewers as their ratings. I kind of took a little bit of a plunge lately, but I must admit, it wasn't really that great of a show. I'll give it like a C-. Really, probably the worst TNA show we've seen in quite some time, because their standards have been very high lately.
Say that is the case, and I really wanted more from this, especially when I had the thought that Aces and Eights were going to actually come back and attack. But what we were given from the Aces and Eights, I'm satisfied with, but the rest of the show just didn't feel bam out there to us.
Yeah, and look forward to our Hardcore Justice preview and predictions video on the Saturday, of course, following the SmackDown review. So, well, thank you very much for watching another review with us. Are we the British Fist with Terminator NJ? Is it still the British Fist? Or are we the Aces?
Gotcha!
Are we the Aces and Eights now? Or something? Who really knows? Maybe I'm a part of the Aces and Eights. Ha ha ha. We got you there. We swerved you there, didn't we? Put your thoughts on the show in the comment section below. Going to hand you over to the lovely leader of the Aces and Eights. Or so we think. Terminator NJ.
Well, people, this has been a video that we think you should leave your comments in the comments below. And I've got to go somewhere because I've got some attacking to do. So from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, Terminator NJ, for you people out there, hasta la vista, YouTubers.